Welcome to Work the Left Side at the Movies. This is the first episode, the spin-off. Spin-offs are never as good as the originals, but there's always the exception. And I think this might be the exception. So obviously, for the first episode, we want to make it look good. Who else do we get? None other than Mr. Adam Bolt. Sir, are you good?
I am good. How are you? This is different. I like it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's got that little bit of a different vibe to it. Mate, I'm all good. You know me, 5x5, too blessed to be stressed. But yeah, obviously we're not talking wrestling tonight. We're not talking, we're not bigging you up. We're not saying how great you are, even though we've said it numerous dozens, hundreds of times. We're here to talk Scream. We're here to talk to, we've kind of realized in the past, we've kind of got a mutual appreciation. When I announced, that I was doing this kind of spin-off thing, and I did a Scream episode graphic, it's like, bosh, there's only one person, really, that I want to talk to, or that I want to talk with about it. That's yourself, dude. It's toss up between you and Shane Monet, really. So, I picked you.
Oh, don't give me that. No. You don't need Shane Monet. You've got me.
Exactly.
Shane Monet, he's a fan, but not for as long as I have been. He pretend he is, but no.
No, I remember you saying he's a fan because of you. So you're kind of you're the OG. That's it. You're the OG, man.
That, but yeah.
Well, did you point it out when I was talking to him? He had the Halloween hoodie on. And he's like, "Oh, do you see that hoodie? You only likes that because of me." I was like, "There you go."
I'll keep saying it, even though it's probably not true. But I'm going to keep going with
it. Mate, go for it. Plant that flag. Down on that hill. So yeah, Scream. Obviously, again, anybody who knows me, as much as I love wrestling, films are probably my equal passion. I've probably seen more films than any average human being should ever have seen in their life. But and that says a lot when I say that Scream is one of my top 5 films. And I'm talking from thousands. So, my love for it is just there. It's there for everybody to see. I will big up the first film to everyone who wants to listen to me talk about it. As a franchise as a whole, I think it's kind of, we'll get there, but I think it's dipped and then it's come back up again. It's been on a journey. It's been a roller coaster. But that first film, dude, obviously, I'm older than you. I kind of saw it when it first came out. When did you get to experience the iconicness?
See, weirdly, I've always liked horror films, always, and I am actually one of the people, obviously probably with growing up with my brother and things like that, we always used to watch like funny stuff growing up. I'm one of them people that actually watch Scream after Scary Movie, so like and watching it that way around is a bit different because like obviously I can appreciate like for when it came out, that first film, of how it was scary in its own way because there was something real about it, right? Like just somebody in a mask. It's the same as what I say about not to deviate, but it's the same as what I say about the film The Strangers. Like sometimes when, although Scream has a very in-depth story, there's just something more real about it because it's not out of the realm of possibility, right? So like, but watching Scary Movie first, it's like when I went back and watched Scream eventually, like a couple of years later, I'm like, it's like I love it, but it's not. There's nothing in it that makes me jump or anything because all I'm picturing is like, with Drew Barrymore in the opening scene, all I'm picturing is like the banana or the life and death sign and running this way. Like I can't. But yeah.
So you kind of came at a different approach, kind of thing. That's the thing. That I was never a massive horror fan. Scream was one of the only horror franchises that I really, really liked from a certain age. I only watch horror films now because of my better half. She kind of got me back into them, and we stuck with them ever since. But Scream was the exception to the rule because it was, it was clever, it was so well written, and it was very. It made reference to a lot of stuff. If you was a horror fan, I knew of Halloween's, I knew the Nightmare on Elm Street, so all that. I knew the references, and I just thought that was so clever. And as a movie fan, it was kind of like, these little bits, these little nuggets are in there for us as well. So that just made it a little bit cooler.
Yeah, like I think when you watch the first one as well, like obviously nowadays it's commonplace for other films to be mentioned within other films, but that was like the first of its kind, where it's like, they do make references to, like, for example, I'm showing my knowledge here, and this is not me trying to show off, but like in the first one, like for example, like Sydney lives on Elm, which is a reference to Nightmare on Elm Street, and then there's like
Yeah,
Billy. Surname is Loomis, which is a reference
Lewis,
to Halloween.
Halloween.
It's like there's all these different like it's like very meta, and it is, and they've rolled with that over the years as well. Like it's only got better and better to the point where it's almost like a gag within a gag within a gag. Like they'll not
Yeah,
mention things. They'll even go back and mention things that reference Scream films earlier on, as if they weren't films and it was real. It's so weird, but it's great. I wouldn't change it.
yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, and also it's just like, I mean, one of the, when he's on the phone, he's like, talking about previous horror films, like when they're sort of saying, oh, Drew Barrymore was like, I like the film with the guy with the scissors for hands. And it's like, oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, yeah,
And she's like, yeah, the first one was scary, the rest of them sucked. And that is funny in itself because it's a Wes Craven film. Wes Craven, who did Scream, did Nightmare on Elm Street, so
yeah,
he's poking fun at himself. He knows that franchise started off as a horror, and it kind of just became like a joke within itself.
yeah,
It's just those little things. That picture I sent of you earlier, man, it'll pop up on here during this episode. Random things are going to pop up while we're talking. There's a picture of Tatum wearing like a football jersey with the number 10, and it's like a belly cut.
yeah.
I only found that I only noticed that today when I was looking at stuff. Again, it might be coincidence, but it's too much for coincidence that for me that's a reference to Johnny Depp's jersey in the first Nightmare film as well.
Yeah, I'd never even picked up on that until you sent me it, and it's got to be. There's no way it's not. Like there's different like there's if you, do you know what, if you went back and watched all 7 Screams now, and you watch them purely to try and notice things that you haven't noticed, I bet there is still things in there where you think, oh, could it be? Because
Yeah,
they'll never come out and tell you. Like Wes Craven never came out and said, oh, this was a nod to this. The fans have just latched onto it and like noticed these things. So there's bound to be things that people haven't picked up that might even be more like very obscure horror
yeah,
references, like not the big franchises like Texas Chainsaw or Friday the 13th. It might be like odd, like standalone horror films that they reference as well. But we'll never know unless we find it. It's weird.
exactly, man. But that's the thing. I mean, I must have watched these films so many times, and I'm still like so picking up on little things. Obviously, there's like the really obscure ones like that, and then you got the obvious one where they're in the school and the janitor's walking around with the fedora and the black and red stripy jumper. It's like, there we go.
Yeah, that is Wes Craven as well. Like,
Yes,
yeah, like he does cameos in like the first few, doesn't he? And it's just like, I think in number 3 he's like an extra in the film, on the set of the film, like in the background, as well.
yeah.
Like it's just weird, like just cameos in his own films, which is great.
So many directors. Yeah, like loads of directors do it though. It's kind of M Night Shyamalan. Well, I can never say his name right. Shyamalan Ding Dong turns up in all of his films. Obviously, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, every one of his films.
Yeah,
But yeah, it seems to be like they get fed up behind the camera, so they're like, you know what, it's that little bit. It's that ego coming into play. It's like I want people to know what I look like, so I'll just plonk myself here for 5 seconds.
sounds like
There you
something
go.
I'd do.
Got to make it look good, man. If the film's good, 5 seconds worth of screen time makes it that look a little bit better.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, but again, another thing with this, the characters, obviously, with the Scream films wasn't just the story, wasn't the cleverness behind it. It was the characters. The cast in the first one is, again, as a movie geek, man, I love Randy. Randy's one of my favorite all-time characters. I was devastated in the second one, but that first film when he's working in the video shop and he's just breaking down horror films and he's breaking down the rules, I was like, yeah, I like this guy.
It's weird when you think about it as well, because when you look at it for what it is and you think of Scream characters, you think of people like Randy, Billy, like a lot of the ones in the original. But when you really break it down across 7 films, right? If Randy was in 2 films, how much screen time did he really get? And the fact
Yeah,
that the first one came out like what 30 years ago, and he's still
yeah,
a character that's loved. He's not shown up anymore, really. He's not, he's not like come back into it. I mean, he can't. He's dead. But the fact that somebody can put in a performance and like portray a character that well, that 30 years after, they're still loved, and like it's almost like an icon to like Scream fans. Like she shows you how good that first cast is, because obviously I didn't appreciate it as much because like with like my age and things like that, and when I actually watched it, but like looking at it now, like the actors that it had and like the star power it pretty much does have, whether that's back then or even now, like it's insane.
Oh man, at the time, I mean, Star Power. I think obviously Friends was in like series 2 or something. So Courtney Cox was a household name because of
Yeah,
Friends and Ace Ventura stuff like that. But Drew Barrymore, man, Drew Barrymore was the star. She was the one that sold that film. She, her face was front and center on the poster. It was a Drew Barrymore film, which is why it was so mental. I mean, I first watched it with my mate, and he went to turn it off after Drew got killed. He's like, "No, fuck it, I ain't watching it. I've got no interest in it. Drew's not in it." I was like, "No." But yeah, that was totally. I think I put it on Facebook earlier. A few people put in the comments. We'll talk about like all the deaths and everything at some point. I want to kind of get your views on order. But for me,
yeah.
yeah, Drew's death is it's the iconic one. It's the first one. It set the template for. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who you are, mate. If you're gonna get got, you're gonna get got.
Do you think that opening scene as well is that iconic that I think it's when I think of Scream One, it's the first thing that pops into my head. So it's like if you think that film started any other way, it could have completely derailed where that franchise went.
Yeah,
Like it might not have made it to 7, it might not have made it to 3, it might not have even done well at the box office. I mean, obviously they had Drew Barrymore, but I weirdly, despite her being the star, if she was the final girl and it wasn't Nev Campbell, could have been very different. Which you would think, well, Drew Barrymore at the time she was a star, but they did it perfectly.
yeah.
Shows how taking risks can pay off, doesn't it? I mean, imagine getting a star like that and just killing her off first. Because
And
people
I
didn't know
just
that till
like,
the film came out as well. They're going to watch
yeah.
that thinking, oh, Drew Barrymore's the lead. And it's like, no, she's dead within 10 minutes. It's like, oh.
That's what we did because I didn't see this one at cinema. Me and my mate got it. Back in the day of VHSs, we used to hit up the video shop every week, like what new films, what new films. Scream, awesome. Drew Barrymore's in it. Yes, like I say, that sold it to my mate. Back to his house, put it on. Yes, she gets oofed. It's like, he's about ready to walk out. I'm like, no, let's just watch it. But as you said with the cast, Skeet Ulrich, Jamie Kennedy, Matthew Lillard, like I say, Courtney Cox, David
Yeah,
Arquette, those guys weren't household names at the time. They've killed the household name, and they left everybody else to carry the weight.
yeah, yeah. It's a mad cast when you think about it. Like, and there's been other casts in like the later films that have been just as strong for what today's like
Yeah,
Hollywood scene looks like as well. Like, especially in recent years. Like, I know it might not be as iconic as the first cast, but that's because time has passed for everyone to look back and appreciate it for what it was. Whereas right now, it's like it's already iconic enough for some casts. So it's like I wonder what that's going to look like in 10, 20 years when people look
yeah.
back at say Scream 4 or 5 or 6. So yeah,
Well, 5 and 6 are going to be the ones, obviously, with Jenny Ortega. She's like the massive
yeah,
star, and she will be for years to come, kind of thing. And then I think Scream 5 came out before Wednesday. That was kind of her. She wasn't a household name at that point. So yeah, they
yeah.
took a risk there. Obviously, I can never remember his bloody name, but the dude from the second film obviously went on then to do Justified and Deadwood, and he's everybody's favorite sexy cowboy now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Timothy,
can't.
I'd never say so. Olympiakos or something like that. I think it is.
Yeah, yeah, I can't remember. It's weird that normally with actors' names, I'm absolutely terrible, unless they've been in Scream. Like,
He's like,
if
yep.
somebody says to me, "What's this actor called?" I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably more likely to give you the name of the film I've seen them in and the character they played. But like with Scream, I don't know all of the actors' names, but most of them I do because it's Scream. It's weird.
Exactly. But yeah, it's like I said, that first one, man, Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis, and Stu. Again, we'll probably get around to talking about rating the killers and whatnot. But again, it's that first film. I said Drew Barrymore's opening sequence has obviously got to be the best. And as
Yeah,
much as we'll talk about the other killers, Stu and Billy, man, that is a dream team. They are
it
just, and
is.
there's a reason they keep. Obviously, they brought Billy back in 5 and 6 via mental, you know, illusions or whatever it was. I really want to
Yeah.
put it. And then everybody was hyped to see Stu or wanting Stu, blah blah blah. But yeah, Stu and Billy, man, they are the dream team.
It's weird as well because, like, normally when you get something like that in any other franchise, people will favour one and not the other. You see it later on in Scream films. Like, if there's multiple killers, people will latch onto one and say, that one will be spoke about more than the others and stuff like that. But the first one's really the only one where they're not. And it's like everyone loves them for different reasons. But, like, don't get me wrong, I think there's a bigger fan base for Stu. But when people mention it, it's never just Stu or Billy. It's Billy and Stu, because it's like it literally sounds like a tag team. That's literally what it's like. Like it's like they're both appreciated as each other for different reasons. Like I think Stu's a bit more iconic in the lines and the delivery of lines and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And if you're a real fan, like the things that were kind of added in as they were filming that he wasn't supposed to say or whatever, that just made it more like iconic in terms of the character. But then you've got Billy. I think for what horror films are like as well, 9 times out of 10, if a horror film hints at somebody being the killer or behind whatever it is that's going off, they're not going to be. And that's
yeah,
why I love Scream, because it's before its time in that sense anyway. Like it really is. It's like a role reversal a bit, where it could have easily, like, if that was a modern day horror film, can tell you exactly what would have happened if it was like, say, 10 years ago instead. It would have made you believe it was Billy, and in the end, it would have been Tatum, because it's
yeah.
Sydney's best friend, right? But they didn't. It's like, oh, it's Billy, and it's like, and then they like make you believe it can't be, and then you think, right, well, if he's been arrested for it and he's got out, that's too obvious, so it can't be, and then it is. It's just like, okay,
That's it. Because it was the first one as well I could think of where there was two. I think it's
yeah,
the first horror film really. Before, I mean, it's been done since, but it was the
yeah,
first one of that. Huge of box office success. Like together, where there was two killers. So it's not just a case of who done it. It was like, right, how many people did it, kind of thing. And it was just like, yeah,
yeah,
ahead of its time.
exactly.
It left you guessing. And like you made reference to things that weren't meant to be in the film but were in there. I presume you're talking about the phone, because that is one of my favorite all-time scenes. The fact it wasn't even written in the script, he actually
Yeah,
hit him with the phone, and that was just him reacting to him being
yeah.
hit by the phone. Mate, still cracks me every time I see
And
it.
the
It's
way
just
he
because he had to.
delivers it as well. Like the way he delivers it, it sounds as if it is in the script, because he's just
Yeah,
like almost nearly crying and like bleeding out while he's saying it. And it's like anybody else would have just popped up and be like, what, like, like, what's going on? He's just hit
cut.
me with a phone,
Yeah,
but it's like he still does it in character. It's like wild.
so it's just Matthew Lillard though. It's just, yeah, it's just that.
Yeah,
But I think the thing is, I say Billy's your generic bad guy. He is kind of like, the pretty boy. He's got that edge. He's the dark, everybody's got red flags about him. Whereas Stu's kind of like that lovable loser, but he's the quotable one. Like sort of said,
yeah,
you hit me with the phone, dick, or, leave her alone.
yeah.
It's a scream, baby. Or 90, 87% of the quotes from that film are Stu lines.
Yeah, they actually are. Like if I try and quote things from Scream, the original, it will be a lot of the time. It will probably be Stu. Like 100%.
So yeah, first film, boss, absolutely. Yeah, like I say, just for me as well. I think again, if people want to come at me about this, this is my take on it. For me, Scream relaunched the horror genre. That came out in like '96. Uh, Horror films for about, I don't know, 5-6 years prior to that had just been B movies. They'd been majority kind of awful, not pushed onto the mainstream. They weren't on at the cinema, or if they were like, I don't know, Jason 10 or something, Jason in Space. It was just a joke. Um, but Scream relaunched the genre. After Scream, we got I Know What You Did Last Summer. We got The Faculty. We got loads and loads of films like that that were smart horrors, but but
Yeah,
scary as well.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. While you've mentioned it, very underappreciated. The original,
Yeah,
the first one, absolutely love that. If there's ever a film that could realistically go like toe to toe with Scream in terms of the first one and the story they deliver, it is that. Like, I think it's great. Like the amount of story they put into that hour and a half long film, and I Know What I Did Last Summer
yeah,
is like it, for me. Like the original is
just
like, yeah, it's like it's, don't get me wrong, it's not as iconic and not as well done as Scream, but I feel like it's like a close, it's almost like a sister film to it. Like
yeah,
people, if they haven't ever seen the original one, should probably watch it. It's very good, especially if you like Scream. You're gonna like that. If it's a slasher, it's
yes.
who done it, and it's the story, then watch it.
I mean, it makes me laugh. I kind of have this argument with my other half because Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer both came out on video. Obviously, Scream came out first, then I say it kind of inspired, I think 6 months later or something. But yeah, my other half brought I Know What You Did Last Summer instead of Scream, purely because of Ryan Philippe and Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, who she'd just seen. Oh no, sorry, she started watching Buffy because of I Know What You Did Last Summer. But yeah, she was a I Know What You Did Last Summer kind of fan. I'm always a bit like, good job you're cute, because that could have been a breaking point.
Yeah, and do you know what? That is a very good. That is a very good route into Scream 2, because who was in Scream 2?
Yes, that that was the sidebar, CC. So yeah,
There we
from I Know
go.
What You Did Last Summer, running in them heels, which you had to
Icon.
a little side bit for you about I Know What You Did Last Summer. Apparently, they took the heels off of Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she was too fast, so they made her redo it with the heels on to try and slow her down.
I didn't know that. That's funny. I can
There you
picture it
go.
actually. Yeah. I've
But
seen
yeah,
her run up them stairs on Scream 2. I can see she's fast.
she's nippy, man. I've seen her running all over the shop in Buffy, so yeah, to do like a whip it. Wham. But yeah, Scream 2, CC. So yeah, obviously you've just had this iconic film. Again, though, Scream 2, man, straight away it's poking fun at itself. They're in the classroom, the film studies, and they're talking
Yeah.
about sequels. And straight out the gate, they're kind of like sequels are inferior, just by concept, kind of thing. And you're just like, well, fucking hell. You know what I mean? It doesn't care. It's just laying it out. It's basically being like, look, if you love the first one, you'll enjoy this one, but just keep your expectations reasonable.
Yeah. Which is weird because, like, what other franchise would get away with that? Like, they're almost like it's weird. It's almost like you don't know whether it is that or whether it is just they are trying to at the time were they trying to make it like more real by addressing like the real state of like Hollywood at the time. Like
Yeah.
it's just do they want people in the illusion that it's real life and it's not a movie? I get that, but like looking back at it, it's just like the fact that they can do that, like sit there and poke fun at themselves in every film and just be like, oh yeah, well, sequels are never as good. And then they're all actively trying to mention sequels that surpass the original and stuff. And then they're debating them and saying, no, no. It's just like you sat there
No.
like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Films, that's it. I mean, yeah, but fair shout, Aliens would be up there. But yeah, it's just that thing. And then, like, obviously, they're talking about. I think it's a nod back to the first film, and because they sort of say, "Oh, if a film ever gets made of this, Sydney's like, oh, I'll probably end up with Tori Spelling or something
Yeah.
playing me." And then, yeah, in Scream 2, you see the promo for Stab, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
Tori Spelling being interviewed playing Sydney Prescott. I was just like, wow.
This is what I mean, like so cleverly written. It's like whenever they're writing another one, they obviously go back and must study the shit out of the one that came before, because who would remember that? It's a one-off line, like in the middle of the film, where it's just dropped, and it's like Wes Craven. It shows you out what of a genius he was to just that small detail. That could have been anyone. Nobody would have said, "Oh well, she said this," because it wasn't
Yeah.
like a this will happen. It was just like
No, in
it's a
my look.
hypothetical. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and then they make it happen. It's just like, and that's the tiniest detail. So, and then it makes you appreciate the bigger things they pull off. It's like, oh, too much to
Just
think
like I
about. And
say,
people think Scream's just a slasher. Like, absolutely not. There's so much in
no,
it.
yeah, it's so layered. Shout out to Luke Wilson as well for playing Billy Loomis in Stab One. Owen Wilson's slightly less successful brother. Um, it's a dude from Old School. If you don't know who Luke Wilson is, if you know Old School, you know Luke Wilson. Yeah, and then obviously, how do you top the first one? It's kind of got to continue on. They're now at college. Time has passed. Dude, the opening sequence, we've obviously talked about the Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
This is up there as one of my favorite opening sequences.
Yeah, they had to. I mean, if you've got like by the point that they must have been filming the second one, like obviously a lot of talk came from the first one with the opening being so iconic as well. So like they had to do, like the pressure was on to deliver a good opening, because if people got the opening in the original and that's what set the tone, they're gonna want that for the sequel to be checked in throughout of it. And don't get me wrong, the first one, like they say in the film, you never beat the original, right? But like it wasn't far off, because like the opening for the second one, so different, so good. Like, in the first one, technically we did have 2 kills in the opening scene, but they weren't, there was only one of them that really had a script to follow. Whereas
Yeah,
in this one, it was like 2 characters, and it's like, and they're in a public setting. That's what makes it different. Like before, you're just in a house alone, and then now you're in a public setting. Not only in a public setting, but in the middle of a theater, surrounded by 100 people. Like, it's just, yeah, it's madness. Very well done.
takes cojones. And I love the fact as well that they kind of made reference to it, like did nobody react? And it was like they just thought it was a publicity stunt for the film. It was like,
Yeah,
fucking hell.
yeah,
But yeah, obviously you can't kill off one of your big stars on this one, so they kind of had to go down a different route. It's like, right, there must have been talk, right, do we kill off one of the the original survivors straight out the gate, or do we kind of go down the road? So that must have been a discussion, but it's like, right, no, we'll do this. We'll big up that there's a film being made about the first film, and we'll make that the emphasis, and then we'll go
yeah,
from there.
yeah.
So it's a film within a film again.
Yeah, and I think this is the first one, because the only thing I will say about the original is that aside from Casey Becker being killed, Drew Barrymore, like, there's no. What I appreciate about a good horror film as well, especially slashers, is chase scenes. I love them. That's why I love Sarah Michelle Gellar in I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's so good, and it's like that's the only thing that I wouldn't have changed the original at all. But it's not until we get to like the party in Act 3 at the end where there is that really.
Yeah.
So like for me, again, Sarah Michelle Gellar in Scream 2, it's literally, it's not even that deep. It's in a house. Most of it's phone calls, and it's just like, it's just well done. I call it a chase scene. She literally runs up the stairs and gets launched off the balcony, and that's about as far as she gets.
Yeah.
But like,
You get a little
it's
one
just
in the
very
first
well
one.
done.
You get
Like,
a little one in the first one where Sydney gets chased in the house.
yeah, like, but like,
But it's
yeah, to be
teeny, it's a
fair,
tease.
but I feel like they almost build on that with Cece and Sarah Michelle Gellar in number 2, because it's like Sydney gets upstairs and it is a bit of a chase scene. It doesn't last long. It's like a bit of and then it's gone, and it's like we're on to like building the suspense for who it could be. But yeah, like Cece, bless her, Lord rest her.
We love you, CC. But again, like the cast for the second one, I'd say you've got your original guys coming back, and they kind of fill it out. As I said, with the sexy cowboy from Justified, you've got the mum from Roseanne, who is just an overly excited reporter for the majority of the film,
Yeah,
and the big, the big kid from Stand By Me, who has aged well,
yeah,
and plays the boyfriend.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, to go on to number 2, like the cast, like again, it's just another film where the cast deliver exactly what they need to. Like with the characters that they played and things like that. Watching it back, I would have liked to have seen more from Hallie, Sid's best friend, just
Yeah,
because Sid's best friend in the first one was that iconic, like obviously years later. That like, but I know from what I saw in the original script, there was supposed to be more for her. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But like in the like obviously with the killers in that one as well, like I like it how the first one there's the tease of who it could be, and it's like her boyfriend, it's someone close to her, and they do that again with Derek, and it's like, oh, and then it's like it can't be again, but and then because of the first one you're like, well, hang on a minute, yeah, it could be. And then it's not only like in the film Sydney feels bad for not believing it, right? But and then you do as well, because you sat there watching it and you're like, actually, I feel like a piece of shit now because he's just been shot, and even I thought it was him. It's like he's everyone's
Oh, man.
boyfriend. It's like, oh shit, got it wrong.
I love the conversation between Randy and Dewey when they're kind of sat there, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Well, let's have a look at the suspects." It's like, well, if you're suspects, then I'm a suspect. Let's move on. So it can't be you two. No, nobody in the right mind would presume it's you two. It's fine. You can crack on. But yeah, like when the chase scene in the house and he gets the cut on his arm, and then just a little throwaway comment of, "Oh, you just happen to miss every artery," and you're like,
yeah,
"Ah." But obviously, it was his best mate who turned out to be the killer, planting that seed from
yeah,
the get go, trying to pass the buck, making you think
yeah,
misdirection. It's like clever.
yeah. I love that scene as well. Like one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite lines he says, and it just seems a bit random to be honest. Like normally characters would panic about like, oh, it could be me and stuff like that, and people think it's me. But the fact that when they're in the hospital, Derek says it's a shame you got there too late, right after he disappeared, and then the camera pans to do, and he's like, yeah, it is, and then walks off. It's like it
It's
almost
just
makes you think it's Dewey as well in the second one. Like it's wild.
it could be bad, but again, everything else like it leveled it up. We talking about the when they're on the phone and they're in the grass scene in the fields.
Yeah,
And poor Randy, man. Randy's death it's one of my just favorites because it hit me right in the heart, man. Just Jamie Kennedy, just when he's talking and he's talking about Billy, Billy's he was just a mama's boy kind of thing, couldn't model yourself on somebody better, and then you just gets dragged into the van, van starts shaking. You don't even see Randy get oofed, but it leaves it to your imagination, and it is just brutal.
Do you know what? It's weird because of all the characters in Scream, I don't really connect with Randy that much. Like, I like him, don't get me wrong, and it's sad, what happens to him. Like, thoughts with his family, but I would have thought it was sad until I was, what I would say, mentally scarred a couple of films later with what happened, and I'm sure we'll get onto that. But like, I thought Randy's was bad until, but bearing in mind as well, like, I'd watched Scream when 3 of them were out. So I managed to watch 1, 2, and 3. So I'd not had this waiting for a second one to develop like a connection with any of them, really. So like people like Randy and Cotton and these characters in the original trilogy, I was like, it was only like Sidney, Gale, and Dewey that I'd really got connected with when I was able to go to the cinema and watch number 4 in 2011 and then 5 in 22, and it's like, yeah. So like at the time, Randy, like for watching it, it's like it obviously it makes you feel what you're supposed to feel, but it was just like I wasn't too. Can I say bothered?
Oh mate, devastated. I don't know if it's just obviously, with 2 separate kettles of fish. I relate to the unlovable geek that never got the attention, or was just obsessed with films. It was basically they'd killed me in the film, so I was like, no, part of me died.
Yeah.
But no, I understand. You've never had to feel or be lost, like that.
Maybe
So
if I'd watched the
fine.
first one and then had to wait for a cinema release for the second one, maybe I would have. But by the time I watched the first, I could watch all 3. So it was like I'd known who he was for like a couple of hours before he was dead. So it was like,
yeah. But then you would go from that. The second one's got one of my favorite, one of the, I'd say probably the most intense ones I can think of off the top of my head, man. When the police car crashes and they're having to climb.
Yeah, it's brutal.
That is genuine edge of your seat. Any horror film that wants to know how to just have the audience on the edge of the seat, just the slightest noise or the slightest movement, man, popcorn's going everywhere. That scene is gold.
What's brutal about that scene is that, like, you used by this point, you're used to the sort of killers in Scream, stabs the pipe through the window, through the windshield, through the head, like grim. And then, second of all, I love Sidney Prescott, right? But Hallie's death is completely that woman's fault. Like, there was no need to go back to that car. If she wanted to know who it was, you could have took the mask off as you was getting out. Do you know what I mean? Like, she killed her best mate, and like all these years later, she mentions Tatum. She don't care about Hallie apparently. She killed her. Like.
Survivor's guilt. We'll just forget it.
Terrible.
And denial. We won't talk about her. No, we'll just talk about Tatum. I'll name my kid after Tatum. I won't name her after the other one. But no, I'm right there with you. I'm screaming out like, don't go. Just run. Just go. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just leave it. And then obviously
Hallie could have gone with her, to be fair. I'll not blame Sidney. Hallie could have just ran with her. Any scared friend would stay with him, and she would have ran over holding her hand, being like, all right, if you're going, I'm going. But no, stupid decision.
50-50.
But then again, it'll probably in script, so.
It's not a documentary, but and then obviously, they're running, like say, and then you get that poor scene where the boyfriend's, they're screaming to be let down, and then Mickey turns up, and he's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't do that if I was you." There's always 2, and like I said, as the audience, we're like, "Oh, bastard!" It was, he was in on it all along. Nah, mate, he just got shot. So,
and
I feel, like you said, now I feel bad.
Well. Before they reveal the second one, they make Gail walk in, and I'm like, absolutely not. And then, like, again, I like it because, like, the first one, you have 2 characters at the forefront, and Billy is the obvious one, and then, like, Mickey's almost that in the second one, but even though he's not the boyfriend, he's just the friend putting it on the boyfriend. But then the second, like, the other killer in number 2 is pretty much a background character with a few lines until the end. And then you notice as well, like, the nod that they do, the fact that you don't even realise till the end that Sydney's never seen this woman, because if she had, she would have known it was Billy's mum. And like, it's only ever Gail so that like throughout the film in the scene, she's never near Sydney. She makes you think you are, because like the reporting's all going off, and the big, like,
but she stays on the background, doesn't she?
On campus. Yeah, but like she never comes across her, so like she would have known.
Yeah,
But like, why would Gail have mentioned her either? Because to her, it's just a reporter. So it's very well done. Like, and this is like
yeah,
'98 as well. Like, it's very well done. Like for the fact that it ends up being Billy's mum, and it's just revenge. Like two motives in one. Like you've got one who wants to get caught, and then the other one who just wants revenge. It's like,
yeah, yeah. 'Cause that's the whole thing as well. It's not. He doesn't want to get away with it. It's about the court case. This
yeah,
is the whole. It's all he wants the TV, he wants the fame. I've kind of skipped past the whole editing suite, Dewey's stabbing again. The Mister Pincushion. There's that
yeah,
bit where the soundproof booth, and Gail's watching him just get killed, but it's just silent. And
yeah.
again, man, it just works. It's just really
It's
well
different,
done.
isn't it? Like only
Yeah,
Scream can pull that off. Like it's like, and then obviously it leaves that scene making you believe he is dead as well. Like why wouldn't it be? I mean, because obviously realistically, the same thing happened to Randy. Really, I know they gave you a face of Randy, like a shot of Randy's face when he was dead, but like you can only assume at that point Dewey is, and
yeah.
then you know, um, yeah, he's not. He
Yes,
survives, but
he survives. Scott is
I
yeah.
like the difference as well in the killers is that in the first one they are literally like this working together, and then the second one it's like one of them thinks they are, but the other one's not. It's
Yeah.
like she just uses him,
Yep.
and
Just
you would
wanted somebody
think when
to
they are both revealed that Mickey would be the main one, but he's actually not. It's Mrs. Loomis, and it's just like is where it is.
Billy's mum. The mum. Oh, it's always the mum. Um, it's just which then. So that's kind of like the second one. Like I sort of said, the first one's up there. I love the second one as well. The second one's obviously not as good as the first one, but still a
Yeah,
stupidly good film. I've watched it so many times.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and then we get to the bottom of the barrel for me. Um, I read some online this morning when I was looking for pictures, and somebody did a post on Reddit or something somewhere saying why Scream 3 is the best one of the franchise. And I was like, I
I
can't
see
click
the
on
same
this. I
time.
will see red if I click on this and read this article. There is no way Scream
It
3
drives
is the
me
best.
insane. 'Cause I see TikToks all the time, like of screaming. Like I think sometimes people just like to see, like if they can convince everyone else, like because as time changes and films come out, some films age well, some don't. So it's like some come out and everyone's like, I love it, and then others go years and then everyone starts appreciating it. Like Scream 3, for what it is, like I will never say anything bad. There is not a bad Scream
Oh
film
no,
in my mind.
no, there
Like there
isn't.
isn't.
It's just the worst of the bunch for me. It's
But if you
just
had to rank them, I agree. 3 would be the bottom for me. Like it
yeah.
would, and it's weird because it's
I've
iconic and I've watched it so many times and it's great. But putting it up against the rest of them, it would be last.
done because I hate the whole rewriting history kind of thing. The third one for me makes Stu and Billy look a bit like a chump. This guy has
Yeah,
basically directed them in the first film to be the killers. They were doing it
yeah.
at his kind of stage, or he planted the seeds, which besmirches Billy and Stu. And I'm like, oh mate, I ain't having it.
And the fact that you've got to
They,
think of how iconic that is, because like it's great, and I like that. I like what they tried doing, but the fact that it in no way years later has impacted how iconic Billy and Stu are shows you
nah,
how little importance the third one really has. Like it's great. Don't get me wrong, and I like Roman, Sydney's brother. It makes sense.
yeah,
It continues the story. It goes back to the original. But when they say it goes back to the original, you think the original film. It's like no, it's the original kill that was off camera. That was before the first one. So I like that and the family tie. But in terms of what you say about Billy and Stu, like I agree. Kind in terms of what they say and like the reasoning, like yeah, it does. It's like very yeah,
yeah. It's insulting, man, is what it is. Some of the cast works. I love the two Gale Weathers. I love that dynamic. That's kind of cool. Um, Obviously, anybody knows me knows I pop every time I see Jane and Silent Bob. They turn up in the film for a few seconds. I'm like, hey. But some of the characters annoyed me as well. It's just a bit like some of it worked, some of it didn't.
yeah.
Um, but
The
it was a
cast
good
for me
idea.
is
It's
a bit
just
dodgy. Yeah,
yeah,
the cast for me is a bit dodgy. Like, I feel like, first of all, can we just address Gail's weird fringe? Like, Courtney Cox is weird. Like, come on. You know me, I've got an eye for what looks good, and that, even in the year 2000, ain't nobody rocking that and making that look good. Like, absolutely not.
no,
And then
mhm,
you've got, like, I'm a fan of Jennifer, irritates the shit out of me. Like, I like the dynamic with Gail and two Gail Weathers, but, like, I couldn't wait for her to die. I know that's brutal to say, but, like, and do you know, like years later, people are like, oh, she's still alive. I'm like, oh, please God, no. She's irritating, and I couldn't tell. Do you know what it is? When I watched number 3, I can't tell whether the character of Jennifer Jolie is supposed to be that annoying, or if she's just like, do you know how
Got it.
extra she is and everything she does, and she's like when she's running down the corridor as well, and she's like, it's like I'm sat there thinking, is this character really annoying or is this really bad actor? Like, and that maybe that's how good the character is portrayed, because like, yeah, I appreciate the relationship with Gail, but oh my god, she drives me insane watching that film, and she irritates the shit out of me. She really
There's that
does.
one
And then
scene when she jumps into the bodyguard's arms and she just cuddles him. You're like,
yeah,
oh.
like I just think, oh man, like come on. Do you know what? If I were Ghostface, I'd have killed her as well. Like,
But just a shout out as well. Obviously, I have Carrie Fisher turning up and the little nod of "you look like," and she's like, "Yeah, no, don't." I would have got to
yeah,
play Princess Leia if I'd have slept with George Lucas. It's like
yeah,
again, just a
the weird.
little nod within a nod. It's like cheeky.
It's not even a nod to a horror film either. Like, it's a nod to a massive franchise.
Yeah, just Carrie Fisher just randomly turning up in a horror film. Um, so yeah, she wasn't even known for horror films. I don't think it was just a general. I think by this point, yeah, like I said, they're crossing franchises. It was very close to going down the nightmare street where it was kind of like it is a horror film, but it kind of wants to
Yeah,
kind of become a bit more mainstream as well, kind of thing. Hence Jay Silent Bob, Carrie Fisher.
yeah,
Shout out to Leaf Schreiber though. I love the Cotton Weary start.
yes, that is very good. As well, like, I don't know how well the voice modulator works in number three. Like, as time's gone on, him copying the voices and stuff. Like, there's a lot of things Scream's done where it's before its time, especially in number four, which we'll get to. But like, um, yeah, it's just a bit. I feel like it wasn't thought out past. Let's just throw the audience off of who it is.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the only point in it, and I feel like the whole Christine thing. I mean, poor Christine, bless her. Like, she got worst of it, didn't she? She died thinking it was her boyfriend trying to kill her. Like,
Oh, there we go. That's what happens when you sign up to be in a stab film. Unfortunately,
yeah,
just don't learn. So yeah, that's pretty much three. There's not, just it's good and it's bad, but it's still a Scream film. But it is,
yeah,
like sort of said, probably I would say it's not even the one I've watched the least. Four is the one I've watched least because I can't get hold of the damn thing. I've got the first three, on DVD and Blu-ray, and I've got five and six brought on Prime. But four, I've just it sort of seems really hard to get hold of, or it's not
yeah, it
available,
is.
or they're charging like 20 quid for it or something. I'm like, what the
Yeah,
hell? But yeah, I'm going into this, and we're going to be talking about four. I think I've seen it twice, so this is
yeah,
the one where my memory's a bit sketchy about. I just know it's got Macaulay Culkin's little brother in it, who's no longer wet in the bed, and obviously the last from Nashville and Heroes.
yeah, yeah. So four, like, it is that. I think it's because like they've got the original trilogy, then the new almost like, well, it's almost like a sequel and then a reboot and a sequel and then like seven, because it's not part of the Carpenter Sisters one. But because four came out like 10 years after that one and 10 years before this one, it's just like one of them. It's in that forgotten era at the minute where it's not a classic and it's not like new. So trying to find it on like a streaming platform is hard. It's just not anywhere. I luckily built myself a little shrine to horror films behind me that you can see, and like so I've got like all these things all over the wall and stuff that I've collected. But and then the cabinet is purely thingy to Scream. And I managed to because I wanted it to like adjust it up like on the different shelves. I went to just CEX and just bought like just the standard DVDs of them all. So I've got it.
That's
What I will say about four is I went to it's the first one I watched in the cinema. I loved it for what it was at the time. By far the worst opening, I will say. Like, I not a fan of it. Like, not a fan.
It tries
But
to be too smart, doesn't it? I kind of like the
yeah,
idea. I love the fact it's got Anna Paquin and Kristen Bell. They're two
yeah,
huge names. Again, it's two huge names getting off at the start. But it's like, yeah, two people get killed off. And then you realize they're just watching them get killed off in the stab film. And then they get killed off. So it's kind of
yeah.
like, yeah, layers. And it was
And
just a bit
Scream.
like,
My issue with it mainly is I know it's not real, right? I know it's a film, but Scream does that good of a job in the first three of making you feel like these people are portraying real life, right?
yeah,
But I just can't get past, right? Okay, so Woodsboro is known for Ghostface and the killings and stuff like that. Like, it's been 10 years since there was one in this film. and it was in Hollywood. So realistically, in Woodsboro, it's been like what, like 12, 13 year or whatever, 14 maybe, since the Woodsboro killings. And it just so happens, like, although it was a murdering spree that lost like 3 days, if it was real, what are the chances that two girls that just sat happen to be talking about it for the whole night and watching it and the whole night before Ghostface returns and kills them? It's like that for me. I know it's a film and it's set up to be like that, but Scream does that good of it. If it didn't do the rest in the other films, I wouldn't mind. But
Yeah.
it does that good of a job of convincing you that, like, these characters are living it in real time. That to me, it's just like, come
It's
on.
forced. It's forced.
Yeah,
They're spoon feeding you basically, which the
yeah,
first
yeah,
three films didn't do.
yeah.
Well, the first two definitely didn't. Three might have done a little bit where it started. But yeah, four. I say three. Four. I've always kind of described it as like a U. So we've got three there, and four for me is better than three. It was the climb back
Yeah,
up. I do remember really enjoying four. I like I love the idea behind the reveal who the killer was. Jill. But I also love the fact that they made reference to they were watching Shaun of the Dead. I was like, mate, this
that's
film's got me
brilliant, isn't it?
already. They just sat there watching
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead. I'm like, yep, sweet.
The only thing about four for me, it's similar to the issue I have with a film later, is that they introduce these new characters and like, yeah, okay, so Kirby survives, but at the time of the film being released and after the film, they brought in all these new characters and killed every single one of them off, apart from the three that walked in there from the originals. So it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we got Kirby, but like, um, for me, four is a weird one as well because, like, at the time, if you asked me, like, at the time of lockdown when there was only four films, I would have said four was the worst. But I think four is the biggest example of one that has aged very well. There is
Yeah.
another one that came out later that, when it came out, was like, oh my god, this is great. And as time's gone on, which isn't a lot of time, people are like, But like four is the one that, for me personally, like, it's weird because I love number two, like, adore number two. But for me, four is just like the one that I would put between two and one,
Wow. Wow. Okay.
because I don't know I think it's just, if you watch that film, like, forget the opening, for
Yeah.
one. Like, if you watch that, like, first of all, like, the one of by far the most brutal killing of Olivia in the house, like, next to him when Jill and Kirby are watching, is grim, and it really sets the stakes for, like, it's like a new era of Scream, right? It's great. But, like, I think a lot of it has to do with, you get, for the how long the film is, you get so much character development between Trevor, between Charlie, like Kirby, Jill, and then, like, the killer reveal again. I think, if forgetting Billy and Stu, because if you, I've said that. So what I've done, not to divert, but I've been fortunate enough to anybody that comes into my life, friend or not, I make them watch Scream. It's like they've got to do it,
A
right?
rite of passage. A rite of
But
passage.
like you got to watch one and then two and then three, and then I watched one, two, three, and then four, and then five, and then six and seven. Whereas these people, like, in the space of like a week or two, have watched all six, seven. So it's like, for me, when they watch that, because they haven't appreciated how iconic number one is, because they've watched it recently,
Yeah.
most of them say their favorite killer reveal is Jill. And I do
Wow.
agree. I think if you take Billy and Stu out of it being in the original, Jill is by far the best. Like, completely, in my opinion, the best. Like, just so well done. And it has a lot to do with Emma Roberts, don't get me wrong. But, like, the whole, the motive, like, it's so before its time that at the time it was a bit like, but as time's gone on, it's like, no, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Amazingly done. So good. So
Did
good.
you hear the original plans for Scream Five? I didn't know about this. My
Yeah.
mate, shout out to Candy Stan who put me onto this today because I was talking to him about it. That Scream Five was meant to be Jill's vehicle,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, she got away with the killings in four. She was going to be the lead in like the fifth one. So it's going to be like a college or something to kind
Yeah.
of mirror Scream Two, and obviously another Ghostface turns up. And yeah, it was going to be Ghostface versus Ghostface, basically.
The dynamic between Jill trying to keep the secret with Sydney
Yeah.
and then trying to fight off the new one, and then you kind of wanted to, but then you're like, hang on a minute, what you've just done, like, I don't care for you either. It's like, imagine what that film would have looked like. It would have sent me into a spin. Like,
So cool.
but yeah, like,
It's a
I've
good-
heard about it, and it's one of them where it's like one of them big what ifs. Like, would have been. I think I'm always going to be like that. What really made me a massive fan of Emma Roberts, because I watched like American Horror Story as well after,
Yeah,
and Coven, the number three, like because of her, like she's just so good. Like the way she portrayed, like I don't think there's anybody that could have played Jill Roberts better than her. Like so good. Like amazing, like
yeah,
the beating herself up at the end, like it just reminded me of like the Attitude Era hardcore matches. Like you've seen the Boiler Room Brawl with Mankind and Big Show at Backlash.
yeah,
Like it's literally that, like through the glass, through the table. It's like all you had to do were like give send a few bruises, and she does more damage on herself than she kind of basically does what they did to Olivia to herself. Like she just
yeah.
murders herself.
Well, she's doing Billy and
Madness.
Stu, but to herself. Instead of them doing
Yeah.
it to each other, she's just full on.
That's what I
You
mean,
know,
and it nods to the original, like, and that's why I think when you really break down four and like the psychology of it, like the end, like it's very well. I would not have been angry at that film ending there. I wouldn't have. I know it's a fake ending and it's great because it's like a new era,
yeah,
so it's like here's Act Three and they kind of have an Act Four. It's weird, but like, yeah, like it's just well done. Like I think it's
yeah,
aged like incredibly well, like very well.
yeah, yeah. I'd shout out Scream 4. It's just beneath 2 for me, but way above 3 kind of thing. Like I say, it's one of those ones where at the time, I think people were a bit skeptical. It was a bit like, oh, they're trying to reboot it. It didn't get the
Yeah,
love it deserved, but it's aged really well. And
yeah.
yeah, like they're kind of like, I'm fed up of being in somebody's shadow. I want the limelight, I want the fame, I want the attention. So, I'm
Completely
going to
original
author.
motive as well. Like it's
Yeah,
very original. And I the thing is with me is I rank Scream films, and when I say I'd edge it above number two, how much it's testament to how much I love Scream, because it's almost like I treat these films like the humans. Like if I say I think four's a bit better than two today, I'll feel bad than two on two. So then I'll switch it, and then I'll feel bad on four. It's like that's how much I love them all, because I can't just sit there and say this is my order. Like I have to put one first because it's the original. But like if I was to watch them all and like when I made somebody recently watch all of them in time for seven coming out, and like four was the one that they enjoyed the most, like just as
yeah,
watching it, like because it's somebody as well who like will watch a film and like will talk for isn't just like 100% focused on it, like and I have to, if I'm watching a film I will be like that, like, but if I deviate away from it, like my attention, it's fine. But four was the one where like after 20 minutes or so it was like laser focused, like really into it. So like
yeah.
that's got to count for something. If it's somebody not like us that's watched them over time, like if it's
It's
got
grabbed
to
them.
like yeah,
Yeah,
it like hooks them
literally.
in. So it's got to be.
That's it. Well, we talked about the parallel universe, the multiverse out there somewhere. There is that Scream 5 film, but we on Earth 636, we got Scream 5, which was I'm trying to think of the wording though, not the reboot, it was the
Recall.
recall. That's it, the recall.
Recall. Yeah.
Um, and dude, yeah, 5, it did. I think again ahead of its time. There's been so many horror films now that I've kind of done that. I know what he did last summer. That came out last
Yeah.
year. They did a recall. They brought in whole new characters, brought back the legacy characters, combined them all
Yeah.
together. And this is the one. We talked about Randy earlier and how kind of iconic he was. But I love the fact his niece and nephew, a huge part in 5 and 6. And it's his
Yeah.
niece that's kind of taken up that mantle of having to explain the rules. She's the one who explains, it's not a sequel, it's not a reboot. It's like I said, it's a requel. Everything's different.
I'm gonna say something because, like, bearing in mind these are characters in films, right? And I don't wish death on anybody. Let me just say that. But because they're not real, I think I can get away with it. If there's anybody I was hoping would just get cut, it was Mindy. Oh my god! If Jennifer were annoying, this girl, oh, like literally makes me want to peel my own eyes out. Like she's so unbearable. But I suppose that like if you take Randy, what everyone loved her, it's like she just like straight up there, like so annoying. But like maybe that's the character. Like it's great for what it is. I prefer Chad. Don't get me wrong. Sympathy
Yeah,
for him for what he's been through. I mean, he's been stabbed like more than Dewey at this point. But like
yeah,
Mindy, yeah, like perfectly cast her and Chad for like Randy's like almost like family ties. Like great. Like obviously they're going to be like that, especially her. But yeah, so annoying. So
yeah.
annoying.
I kind of just took that as the character. You got Chad who's like the jock and everything like that, and then yeah, like I said, she's just the overexcitable movie geek, but annoying with it. Whereas Randy was kind of
Yeah.
endearing. she takes it too far, but that's kind of like that's her. It's kind of like okay, I'll accept
Yeah.
that because they come as a package. I think
I
together.
need people to be
So
annoyed at in films anyway. Like you can't like everyone,
yeah,
and like I'm one of them where I'm probably more like what I'm like as a person and in wrestling. Like if I'm probably more likely to like the villain. It's weird how that works, isn't it? But like,
hmm,
like
yes, but yeah. So yeah, so we get five, and again, a hot take, and I'll explain why. But five's opening sequence is the worst of the bunch for me
okay.
because she doesn't die.
See, I get this is what people are torn on. I feel like is it the worst because she doesn't die, or is it kind of genius she doesn't die? Because
Ah,
like Scream likes to play with like what your expectations and stuff, like we've
yeah,
spoke about. But like you kind of do expect. I feel like because it was the requel, it's like oh here's this iconic character who now we know. Well, obviously she's only even bigger as Jenna Ortega, but like looking back at it now, you think, oh, it's Drew Barrymore. It's that icon that's going to die for whatever, and then she doesn't, and it's kind of used to set the story up rather than. So it's kind of like I'm torn. I don't really have an opinion on it. It's not like I don't hate it and I don't love it. It's kind of like
yeah.
yeah,
I love the
like I
whole
see
setup.
it
I think it's
like
dramatic, it's intense. But
yeah,
if I did do an order, it would have to go at the bottom because there was no death, there was no it didn't open
yeah,
with a kill kind of thing. But I love the whole like automatic door locks. Like when she's trying to lock the door, unlocks
yes,
the
yeah,
door, and she just hangs up. It's like nope, not having it. On the because obviously this was the first one really as well that kind of had mobile phones and
yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like that. So it's like nope, nope, not
yeah.
talking to you.
I do like it as well. How the only thing what I think if they were gonna do like somebody surviving, it needed to be a bigger scene. I think, and it was just like because it was just like number two we had the cinema, number one we had the iconic house scene, number three we had like the Hollywood setting, number four we had the opening within an opening within an opening. So for number five, for him to do somebody surviving, I think it needed to be something bigger than just in a house. Like
Yeah,
they made use of the times changing, like you said, the technology, like the doors locking, the apps and stuff like that. It was done well, but it was just in a kitchen. It wasn't special, so it was like, and for somebody to wait 10 years for Scream, like you want, like I mentioned with people that have watched it with me, is like new fans. You want something that's going to drag you in,
yeah,
and it's like it does because it's Scream. I can't ever fault Scream, but like if you rank it with the others, like four to me is the worst opening because of what it is and what it tries to do. But if I had to take four of them out and just look at the opening of the rest, I would say yeah, I would put five pretty low, to be honest.
yeah. But that's my only negative on five. Again, I love five. I love as much as we bigged up four and as much as I've bigged up two. I've said four's like again not to besmirch your babies, your kids. Um, Five is probably on par with two. It goes one and then two and five for
Okay.
rewatchability for me. I think the cast is amazing. The dude Justin from 13 Reasons, quality.
Yeah, yeah,
He's bossing it. Like I said, we talked about the niece and the nephew, the dynamic with Dewey coming back, and people just poking fun at him, saying being old.
yeah.
Just like it's probably Dewey this time. He even calls it, straight away. It's like it's the boyfriend, but
Again,
because the
like I think,
boyfriend's such a nerd, you can't even
yeah,
imagine it's Huey from the boys. Like that, it can't be Huey.
yeah.
Um,
What five does well for me as well is the killing in broad daylight of Julie.
yeah,
Yeah, like just on the doorstep in the middle of the day. It's like you don't. It's weird how you've got four films in and you've never seen that. If you think about how many kills have happened in broad daylight, it's always daylight happens with the teasers and the calls and stuff, and then night is when shit hits the fan. And in
yeah.
number five, the fact that you almost don't think it's going to happen. Like when she's running to the house, you expect her to run in and find Wes, and it's like no, she's running towards the house. It's like there you go, and it's like oh, like stabbing the
Then
shit
just
out of her in daylight on a
just
doorstep. It's like all right, we're
laying on
there,
the
like
pavement, yeah. Just
yeah,
but then after that, you get the whole Wes walking around the house, and every time he opens like the fridge
yeah.
or he opens the cupboard, and when he closes it, you expect to see Ghostface just there, and they do it about five times, and every time I fall for it. I was like, oh no, it's not there yet.
Yeah, which to me as well, again, is another nod to like a horror film because in that time between four and five, there's so many horror films that do that, and almost they started doing it where in that time era, it's like in like from like 2010 to like 2020, horror films would start doing that. You know, like olden days, they would shut it and something would be there. Whereas horror films were known for doing this thing where the fridge had shut and now it's the norm for them to not be there. So
Yeah.
Scream just take the piss and think, let's do it 4 or 5 times. It's like,
And then when you
that's
just
great.
given up on it, yeah, you've given up. You're like, right, no, you know what? And then yeah,
He's just
bosh,
stood
he's there.
there. He's just like, yeah, like, all right.
Straight there. It's like, oh, I'm a poor Wes though. But then yeah, you got that, and then again, it's like I say, it's the brutality, man. I mean, the most brutal thing, obviously, being poor Dewey, man. The
Oh,
dude gets kebabbed.
oh, like it got to the point where, again, like, because, like, to touch on it again, I keep mentioning it, but for somebody who's watched them all back to back, it's the same thing with Randy as me. Like, I didn't have time to connect to him, whereas Dewey, I'd got to know the character as a kid and then watched him 10 years later and then watched him 10 years later. So he's been alive that whole time for me. And do you know what it is about Dewey's death that gets me? It's not Dewey, it's Gale after. Like, because Gale is, you can imagine why if you really think about it. Like, in terms of the person I am and the characters I portray in what I do, Gail, I connect to so much because she's like, she's just a bitch, isn't she? But and then, she's not. It's like
Just
she's always out for herself and stuff. So, like, Gail Weathers is like my number one, like, even above Sydney. Like, like, I would be more angry at them killing Gail than Sydney at this point. So, like, when she's running to the hospital, and obviously in 4 they were like married and stuff, and then 5 it's like a different dynamic. Like, they've divorced now, which is a nod to real life because they had divorced. I mean, they were divorced
yeah,
like by 4. It's like the fact that, as well, like the nod to Dewey had Ghostface, and it was, and she still didn't know it, obviously, in the film. Her calling him is what killed him, because it's like that slight distraction of looking down, and then Ghostface gets him, and it's like then she's running to the hospital, and like the slow motion with like the silence of him wheeling him out. The only time in Scream's made me feel a lot of things, and do you know what? It takes a lot. I'm one of them people where no matter whether a film's sad, whatever, I don't cry. I don't get like upset. I don't feel like the lump in my throat. Scream 5 did that for me. Like with Gail, I was like, oh, I was like, no. I was like, oh, sat in the cinema, like, come on, like, don't do this, like, don't let it take you. And I was like, no, I can't cry at a film. But and then it's how invested I am in it. I was like, this woman's real to me. Like, oh, poor Gail. Like, no,
yeah, feel it right there. The only beef with that is because obviously it can't be. I can never remember. I can't remember. I always could just call him Huey from the boys. But because it's him, and the last revealed as the killers. But he's there in the hospital, so he can't be the one wearing the mask for this kill. And for
yeah,
me though, I'm looking at her like she ain't strong enough. She's wiry. She must be like deceptively freaking strong, to oomph up Dewey like that.
yeah. It's, yeah. There's a worse example later on in the next one in 6, which we'll get to. But like, yeah, like, but I kind. Do you know what I like about the reveal in 5 as well with it being Amber is that, again, it's kind of like a nod to Billy, how it hints at her right at the beginning because
Yeah,
she's on thingy, but and then it also, like, because she's the one messaging Tara, right? And it's like it actually is just her. And then also the character change, like in with Jill, because that was the film before, like the psychotic female, it had been done in the film before, and the fact that Amber was just as good as it was
yeah,
like real good. Like, obviously not in my mind just as good, but like she played, like she has like a different edge to her. Like, one of my favorite lines is when she's like, when Gail shouts at her saying, "You killed my best friend," and she's like, "Yeah, and he died like a pussy." It's like, ah, it's like, but then like it's just real good the way it's done. Like, because she's almost borderline psychopath throughout of it, and then you think, well, surely it's not her. It made me think at the time it was Liv, Chad's girlfriend, because she wasn't
yeah,
portrayed to be like a psycho, whereas Amber's kind of like just borderline funny with like the one-liners she drops throughout of it. Like when when they move out of the hospital and she says to Richie, who apparently she just met, she's like, "Come on, Netflix." Like, she's just an arsehole for no reason the whole time.
yeah.
It's like,
Just this random guy that she's met. Yeah, but it
yeah,
just suited. Yeah, it fit the character. But yeah, Chad's girlfriend. I love that bit when they're at the shout out as well for having the party at Stu's house. I love that
yes,
nod.
that
Love
is
that
very good.
reference.
That is well done.
But yeah, when they're making out on the settee, and she says, "Oh, do you want to go upstairs?" and he's like, "No,
No,
I don't. I don't quite know. I'm not certain yet that you're not the killer, so I'm going to stay
yeah.
here."
And like they know that it's like it's always like meta slashers who done it, as Mindy says, and like they portray that in the film as well. Like they're always it's the first film where they're constantly questioning who it is, like in speech as well. Like they're saying like, oh, I don't know if it's you and stuff like that. And to touch on Liv as well, like like one of the most simple deaths as well. Like all these Ghostface reveals are like the mask coming off and stuff like that, and all this lot. And Amber's is just, I'm not the killer. She's like, I know, and then just shoots from the head. She's like, okay, like sound.
Was it even worthy of a stabbing? Just now, shoot you, mate. That's it. We're done. Yeah, you're not even relevant. You're just this guy's
Yeah.
girlfriend. But yeah, that's it. But it's just like I say, it's at the end. But just the brutality of those, well, when she gets set on fire and it's just running around the kitchen. It's just everything about it is just, like I say, I can't remember the character's name you mentioned before. Huey from The Boys. His character turns as well. He turns up. He becomes this. He goes from lovable nerd to
Richie,
seriously
yeah.
deranged Richie. Yeah, man. He's something great actor.
Yeah.
And he just turns up a notch. You're like, oh shit, this dude is freaking
And as well,
mental.
like we haven't really touched on it. Weirdly, to say we spoke about Five all this time, we haven't even mentioned Sam, which is like the new final girl. Like,
Yeah, so
Melissa Barrera, like very well done. Like, because obviously she's the link to Billy, and it's like
yeah,
throughout of it, like the character development in her, where it's kind of like it becomes about her, and the storyline of Tara's attack to bring her back, and it's the secret that she's Billy Loomis's daughter, and it's just like that's something that didn't get revealed like late on. It was early on, so it's like, oh, but then the real big reveal in the film is obviously Stu's house being the ending. Like it goes back to the original, because you think the nod to the original is Billy, and it's not.
yeah.
It's Stu's house, so it kind of goes back to Billy and Stu in a way, and it's like it's very well done, like very clever. But like her like change as well. Like normally when the hero overcomes Ghostface, it's just like oh, I'm not a killer and thingy. Her, oh no, she's
No, mate.
constantly
Embrace it.
everywhere, down the arm, down the other arm. It's like, all right, calm down.
She is her father's daughter. Yeah, there we go. Well, there's another bit as well though where he goes off to get a beer and he looks at the niece. I can't remember the names on the new ones. But he says, "Oh, I'll be right back." And he just looks and he's like, "Ah," and then just
Yeah,
walks
yeah,
off to get a beer. Again, just a nod to the first one for me, kind of thing, because obviously that's what Stu does.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Tara, yeah, amazing sort of like say character development. I love the fact they brought Billy back. Like in her head, she's talking to her. Just being like, just embrace it. You are your
Yeah.
father's daughter, and then she did. Like sort of said, she
Yeah.
wasn't a goody. Like she just went ballistic at the end. Just
Yeah.
stabbed the shit out of him.
Yeah, it's very well done.
Therapeutic. But I think probably because of that brutality, that obviously kind of then led us into six, which
Yeah.
allowed straight out the bat. Six is people are saying that she was Ghostface. She's that deranged. She was the killer all along. It's just a massive
Yeah.
cover up, and it fit because of how she ended five, and
Yeah.
being set in the city this time as well. That was huge for me because it kind of took it out of that small town.
Very well. Yeah.
You saw them
It
in the
needed to
convenience
happen. It
store.
was good. Like they tried it. They've got to take risks, and some of them are going to pay off, some of them don't. The New York City setting works very well. Like the opening scene as well. Like just there's so many things about New York that's iconic, right? Like because I've been there as well, which is great.
Yeah.
But like they could have done anything. Like they've got the subway stations. They've got the iconic like places like Empire State Statue. They've got all these things about New York, and they just choose one of the most common things about New York, which is a dark alleyway. Why wouldn't it be? Like why wouldn't it be in Scream? Just an alleyway. Like
I love this. I love this sequence as well, though, because obviously you got the blonde victim, hot blonde. She's going to get killed,
yeah,
and then you kind of see, but you're masked straight away. You're like, oh shit, it's Flash
yeah,
Thompson from the Spider-Man films, and then you think, nah, it can't be that easy, And then obviously he gets killed off, and then it becomes the murder mystery. It becomes a who done it again. But
yeah,
yeah, two deaths, two Ghostface technically. Well, four Ghostface technically.
yeah. It's see, this is what I mean. This is when I said about 4 is the one that's aged very well. I think as time's going on, 6 is the one that hasn't, because it was only a few years ago. I loved 6 when I watched it. When I came out of the cinema, I was like, "Do you know what? That's like it's after the original for me. It was great, and I do love it. I love watching 6 back. I do. But if I have to be real about it, not biased, just because I love everything about it. Like, for like, it reminds me of like Three in a way sometimes, with like some of the things being a bit like, come on, like the whole
Spoon fed.
Ghostface, that, yeah, them doing the attack, and then it just so happens the real Ghostface is also planning his, and it's like, which is not as unbelievable because it is just after, it is when they've all arrived in New York, so I get it. But and then again, like when we talk about like the ending of it as well, like there's one big thing in this film that just really irritates me more than anything, and it's the whole shrine, and it's a cool idea. Like, if they addressed it as like it's replicas of, like, what somebody's
Yeah,
created, but it's like they address it as, oh well, evidence can get lost. It's like, evidence, like, there's like evidence as a knife, yeah, but evidence is like the exact top somebody wore 30 years ago. Like, come on, like, all
yeah,
that's like, nah, like, it's just a way to get all, like, the whole franchise in one room, and I get it, but it's like it's a bit far to the point where it's like unbelievable. Takes you out of the like illusion of, like, you
yeah.
know,
It's a stretch. Like I said, for the most part, at its core, it tries to be grounded. It tries to so it's foot in
yeah,
reality kind of thing. And then yeah, they do something like that, and it's just a bit like, dude, yeah, you kind of suspension of disbelief is weighing just a little bit. Um, but again, it ties into the fifth one.
yeah,
His
yeah,
family have come back to avenge, his death. That's the reveal. But again, I thought they did a really good job with, who could it be?
yeah, yeah,
The fact that the sister gets killed off halfway through the film, but it turns out, she didn't really. And
yeah,
they make reference to, it can't be me. I got, I'm his roommate by lottery kind of thing. And then they make
yeah.
reference to the end, be like, how easy it is to rig the roommate numbers kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
It mirrors one and two as well. Like, one is the boyfriend, two is the boyfriend's family, and then five and six do the same thing. Um, with it being the boyfriend in five and then the boyfriend's family in six. So it's like it mirrors like the original and the sequel. Um, poor Annika as well. Like, that death is up there with Olivia's from Fall for me. Like, the falling off the ladder, and what Six did a good job as well of is bringing back chase scenes, like the chase scene
yes,
with the ladder scene, and then obviously Gale. When I tell you, like, if there's anything in Scream across all of them that has really had me like on the edge of my seat in not a good way, five was different because I was just watching Gail be sad. Six, when I actually thought they were going to kill her off, because I thought once Dewey's gone, there's no use for her. So I'm like,
yeah,
I'm going into six after watching the trailer. I was like, I don't know if I can do it. Like, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, it was the most nervous I've ever been in my life. I've never been more nervous for a wrestling show than I have watching six, because I was thinking, I feel like she's going to get it. And then, like,
she's
when
done.
I was convinced she was dead in six, I was sat there, like, almost like, I didn't know whether I was upset, didn't know whether I was angry. It was like she was my family. I was like, I don't know how to feel. But like,
Yeah,
oh, she pulled through though. I was like, oh, thank God, don't kill her.
of course she
Don't
does.
don't
It's
do it.
Gail. She's the new Dewey. You can't kill her off.
Yeah, like, the more these
Um,
films are made, I will never. It could get to Scream 17 for all I care, and it'd be great. But like, the more that get made, the more nervous I get, because I think, oh, this is the one that they're gonna do it.
I mean, I'm not going to really go into seven. I'm going to kind of put a lid on it at six just because of time.
Yeah,
Um, but we finished watching seven and we came out the cinema. My other half was like, a bullet point seven. Great film, shitty ending, shitty reveal, shitty killer. Um, but yeah, my other half we came out and she's like, Gail should have been the killer. They should have got in the car with Gail at the end and she should have killed Sydney. That would have been it.
yeah. My
I'm
quick
like, you know
take
what?
on seven. My quick take on seven. First of all, as years pass, like I say, these films age well. That opening is amazing.
That's
Like,
that is one of
so
my
good.
favorite openings. That is one of my
Yeah,
favorite
so
openings. To
good.
be fair, yeah,
And for me, it's like the film for the first half is like this, and then it goes like this, and then it goes like that. So like,
yeah,
because you have like these, like, the opening's great, and then you have like the next scene is like the theater with like where they all know Ghostface is back, and when you think normally after that scene you have a bit of downtime, and you think when they get back home it's some downtime, and it's not, because he's in the attic and it's still there, and it's like, it's so good right up until it falls off for me. Like, the last great thing is when Gale runs over the Ghostface. So good. Like, he just
yeah,
runs him over, and it's like Gale's introduced in a way only Gale would be. It's like, it's great.
yeah.
But and then after, I agree. Like, it drops off a bit in like the chase scenes later on with the coffee shop, and then the ending, like the reveal. I feel like Anna Camp being Ghostface, like, great. However, because I know what a good actress she is, I just wish they gave her more character development for us to care. That's all.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the reveals, shocking. Terrible.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's one of my favorite openings. So that house, I know if that house existed, you would be there in a heartbeat. I know my other half would be. I said to her, I was like, "You'd go to that house, wouldn't you?" She's like, "Fuck yeah, I'll be there straight away. I'll be there opening night." I love
I
it when
would.
she punches she punches her boyfriend because he comes in stupidly wearing a ghost face mask. She just
Yeah.
goes on close to him.
Yeah. It's very well done.
But that is, and then yeah, obviously 6. I love the fact they brought, you know, totally forgot her name again. From 4, Hayden, the last from Nashville.
Hayden Panettiere.
Yes. What's the
Yes,
character name
Kirby.
again? Kirby.
Kirby.
For fuck's
Yeah.
sake, I should know that. Jesus. But yeah, I'm glad they brought Kirby back. I like the fact that kind of planted this distrust as well, kind of like saying that, yeah, she's not a Fed anymore. They kind of sacked her off a few weeks ago. And it makes you think, oh shit, it was her.
Yeah, because she's
And
the
then you
only
got
one that came back after missing one. So it was like you don't really know too much about her, like where she been.
yeah.
So yeah.
It could have been. And the boyfriend as well, the spicy boyfriend, when Chad's like, new love, where he literally looks at him, it's like, love interest, go away. No,
Yeah.
we don't trust you. We don't trust boyfriends.
Yeah.
Do one. So, but yeah, man, as a whole, I'd say 6 solid films, 6 3/4 of a solid film franchise.
Yeah.
And hopefully, if anybody watching this, hopefully people are watching this because they love Scream. But for the people who are watching this that don't know Scream or may have only watched them once or twice or watched them not paying attention or just I don't know, man. Just I like to think everybody's seen them, but obviously there's people out there
Yeah.
that haven't watched everything. If you haven't watched the Scream films, but you're watching this, go watch
Get a
them.
grip. Is
Yeah,
what I'd
get a
say.
grip, man. You can see how passionate we are about it, see how hyped we get about it. They are great films. And as I sort of said, Scream is in my top 5 films of all time. So I don't know, it's probably yours as well, if you did top 5s.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and when I say Scream, I don't just mean the first one. I just count all of them together, like the whole
Franchise.
thing, because horror franchises they're very hard to come by in terms of solid. And like, yeah, we spoke about it. There's a couple of films like where one starts off strong and the ending's not great, or the opening's shocking and the ending's great. But
Yeah.
collectively, there is not a bad Scream film, and I would include 7 in
No.
that. I think
Yeah.
that you can't. The thing is with Scream, you can't make your mind up on it until you allow time to pass and you rewatch it and you just let it ride out. Like 7, for all we know, despite what we think now, in a year or 2 year might end up being really good
Up
because
there.
eight has been greenlit and 8 is coming. So we don't know what 8's going to give us. 8 might make us look back at 7 and think, do you know what? Actually, yeah, it was real
Yeah.
good. So it's like it's one of them. There's not a bad film, to be fair. Like
No.
there's stronger than
As much
others.
as I kind of, I may have besmirched 7 by not giving it much time, but it's probably because I don't think a lot of people have seen it yet either. It's not out,
Yeah.
as far as I know, on any streaming services. But yeah, it started off great. I loved 7 despite the ending because the rest of it was so great. It's kind
Yeah.
of like,
I agree.
so, but dude, yeah, this has been awesome. I need to go calm down now because I'm too hyped. This is what happens when I talk about films or wrestling. You know this.
Before you go,
So
I need to share
yeah.
something with you.
Oh,
Before we go.
I've got a question. Got a question for
Go
you.
Go on.
Right. Pick 5 or 6 people from your either your wrestling family, like I don't know, Ivy, Jackie, Prince Pele, Tony, Evan, Brady,
Brady.
anyone you
Yeah.
want to sort of pick your bunch, pick your dream team.
Let's
right?
go with them.
Right. In a Scream film situation, who would be the ghost faced? Who would be first killed? And who would be the survivor?
First kill, Jackie T. Jackie T's dead.
Why?
Like
Why?
that boy's got 2 brain cells and they fight for 3rd place. Like that boy's dead. Like I love him, but he would disagree. Like, no, Mr. Ball, I get like, no, he's dead. And do you know why? Because he probably answer phone to killer and tell him exactly where he is. That's why Jackie T would die first.
Oh yeah, come in, yeah. Fine.
Ghostface, I will. Do you know what? I would like to sit there and be like, I'm the survivor, and I would be. But I think out of a lot of us, if anyone's going to be Ghostface, it'd be me because I don't like people. Yeah. And at some point, they all piss me off. So yeah, it would be me. The survivor, I will say, would be Ivy. For the simple fact of you've got to have a final girl.
Yes.
Like,
Or do you? Do you mix it up? Is this the requel of a requel where the survivor is a guy?
do you know what?
No.
If out of any of them, if any of them were going to get the better of me and be the one to kill me, the only one I'd be like, do you know what? Fair enough, it would be Ivy. So I'm going to stick with that, because if any of them, if any of the rest of them got the better of me, I'd be like, absolutely not.
No, no, I can't second guess that. Ivy is just, she's terrifying anyway. So yeah, you know, even she would scare Ghostface. So I buy that. Poor Jackie T though, and
She'd be
obviously yeah, Brady.
bringing that back to a knife fight, wouldn't she?
Yes, exactly. So Evan and Brady and everybody else just kind of gets picked off throughout the film.
Brady'd be the one that gets stabbed. He'd be the Chad. He'd get stabbed 19 times and still somehow survives. Like,
he's the new Dewey. Brady is the new Dewey.
Yeah.
Just see him limping around everywhere.
Yeah, what I was going to say, just to go off topic slightly, but not really. If I was Ghostface, right, and it was Adam Bolt as Ghostface, what would you picture the mask to look like?
Oh.
Adam Bolt Ghostface mask, what would it look like?
Oh. So I don't want to do that. Yeah, because I don't want to do the obvious cliche of, you know, you'd make it look good. It would be like really shiny and snazzy and, you know.
I could show you if you
awesome.
want, because it's what I got from Florida.
No.
Like this.
Dude.
A rhinestoned Ghostface mask. Like, if that's not me, then
that is.
It's great, isn't it?
That's awesome. Actually, I thought you might go the other way. I thought it might be like, you know, gritty and dark and just to throw people off. Be like, it can't be Adam. Adam could never wear that.
Imagine Ghostface showing up like this and being like, ringing you. You'd be like, Adam, what are you doing? Like,
mate. It's not a murder mystery anymore. It's just a survival film. Just run.
Yeah.
Mate, thank you so much. This has been a genuine pleasure, and it just the best way possible, you know, to start this whole sort of spin-off movie talking films. Dude, hope you've enjoyed it as well.
Oh, I have. Do you know what? It's been if I'm ever going to talk about anything other than wrestling, it's Scream. So, like, do you know what? If you have me on a podcast for wrestling, I'll talk to you for about an hour. If it's Scream, we could have sat and watched all of them back to back, and I'd have still been talking. Like, it's fine.
I hate the fact that the edit I use, if I hit 90 minutes, I'm fucked. I can't edit it in any way, shape, or form. I just have to upload it. So I always try and keep it under 90 minutes so I can make it look a little bit special. So that's why I'm kind of like shit. But yeah, man, I same as you, man. I could have sat here for another hour and just wax lyrical. We kind of spent that long on the first few that we've kind of talked very quickly. The later on kind of thing. So, but mate, I honestly can't thank you enough. This has just been a great way to start the series. Do you want to let people know where they can find you on the socials and obviously see what shows you're coming up to? I've got to quickly ask though. I know I see you talking films, but you're not at True Grit this weekend, are you?
No, I'm not. No,
dude. Mate, I meant to mention this to Dan. I think you've broken the streak, because I think you've been on every show for like the last 16 months or something.
There was a couple of York ones last year that I weren't on, but I think with the Kid Bandit in August and then like the match with Vusic, I feel like I have been. I wasn't on October though because I was in Florida. So
okay. So it's just I just picture you there. Well, I'm seeing you there when you're not even there, kind of thing.
But yeah, I'm not there. In terms of socials, I've changed my handle on Instagram. It's now just _Adam Bolt. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is Adam Bolt _ I think the other way around. In terms of shows, I have I've got debuts coming up. I have WrestleMania weekend. I'm wrestling Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got some House of Pain wrestling. I've got PW on the Saturday. I've got Target debut on the Sunday. I've got my second match. Oh, you'll never guess. I'm sure you've seen. I go to Manchester. Catch, nice debut last a couple of weeks ago. My second match is this Monday, and it's Tony Rikes. Can't get rid of him. So yeah, I'm a bit all over the place at the minute, but wouldn't change it. So.
Mate, that's amazing. Obviously, hyped to see you back at True Grit as well. Obviously, on the back of the last show, Evan turning up. Obviously, anybody knows me, massive advocate for Mr. Bishop. The dude's awesome. Yes. The fact that he's with you at True Grit and Jackie, mate, that is a force. So I'm excited to see that.
I'm gonna have to wait for
Mate.
I'm gonna have to wait for some big title match and whip out some Ghostface inspired gear somehow.
Dude, you got to, the things, because I said I was doing this, and some people were like, "You're going to talk to Ian Skinner because he had the ghost face coat." I was like, "No, I want Adam Bolt." No offense, Ian Skinner's boss, but it's Adam Bolt.
There's a lot of people that love. I'm not trying to gatekeep it. Ian Skinner, great fan. Holly Barlow as well, massive fan. We talk about Scream all the time, but yeah, leave Scream to me.
Yeah, you're the OG. You're the Don of the Scream
Don't
franchise.
hate that I said that, and obviously they might like it as much as me. They probably do, but I'm the one here, so I'm gonna take it.
Yeah. Mate, I'm saying it. It's on record. It's now captured. Dude, thank you so much. Obviously, everybody else, thank you for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comments. Keep your eyes peeled. We've got Joe Cedric coming up talking Jean-Claude Van Damme films. We've got Gung Ho Muttley and Dan from Dan's Cans talking Blair Witch and Cloverfield and found footage films. Isaac North will be coming on soon to talk Quentin Tarantino. So yeah, I'm trying to get in as many people as possible. I've shout out Scotty Walk to come on and talk about Lost Boys. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled, and we'll see you very soon. Mr. Bolt, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun.
You too. And remember, always work. I don't know if I should say that, 'cause it's always sit on the left side of the cinema.